The artist. The artist archetype, draped in mystical allure, embodies a profound connection between the seen and the unseen, channeling the ethereal forces of inspiration. Like an alchemist of the spirit, the artist transforms raw experiences into tangible creations, revealing hidden truths and ancient archetypes. It is a mystical pilgrimage, a sacred dance with the divine, where the mundane transcends into extraordinary, and the artist becomes a conduit, inviting others to embark on their own mystical odyssey, unveiling the veiled and offering glimpses into the enigmatic tapestry of existence itself. Now, what is an artist? An artist it's not a new word. It's a word that we hear all the time. It's a word that we've heard multiple times through our existence. There is a definition of what an artist is and what an artist does. Ultimately, an artist creates art. But what is art, and what is the journey of the artist? I went to do some research to find out exactly what art means. What is the definition of how the world perceives art right now? And it said that art can be defined as a diverse range of human activities and expressions that involve the creation of visual, auditory, or conceptual works. It encompasses various forms such as painting, sculpture, literature, music, dance, theatre, film, architecture, and more. Its emphasis is on aesthetic qualities, creativity, and the intention to evoke emotional or intellectual responses in the viewer, listener, or participant. It often reflects personal, cultural, or societal values, ideas, and experiences. Art serves as a medium for communication, self-expression, cultural representation, and exploration of human imagination and perception. It holds the power to provoke thought, challenge perspectives, inspire, and enrich the human experience. That's a pretty in-depth description of what art is, and I feel that leaves a large opening to the scope of what art is and what an artist is. If you were anything like me growing up, you would have had some sort of idea that an artist is someone who never has any money, they're starving, but they do these amazing paintings or drawings, or they create these sculptures or pieces of artwork that most people don't really understand because it's personal to them, and they don't make any money, but they're expressing the essence of who they are in a way that sometimes only they can perceive the gravity and the thought and the ideas that were behind that piece of art they created. And based on what I just read and what I am understanding, the theory behind the artist archetype is to really bring out the individual response to whatever it is you are expressing. It's not about channeling through something that is part of a collective experience, but more of how you are perceiving or feeling or moving through something. Because the expression is something that will come from you, and it will depend on the way that you express yourself, the things that you're expressing, and in what way. So if you are someone who likes to paint and you are painting something, and you could be moving through something that is highly emotionally challenging, or something that is delving deep into a part of you that you can't even see yet that you are expressing, but part of that expression will be based on any part of that collective experience that you are still holding on to or believing is part of yours as well. Carl Jung said about the artist that it's the archetype that's the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious realms. And that's a fascinating way to look at it, because we live so much between trying to identify our conscious and our unconscious thoughts. And depending on the level of your own knowing and the things that you are believing right now is going to be different to what you bring through or what you see or what you feel in your own unconscious thoughts. And if you are someone who believes in the power of the multitude and the dimensional depth of your DNA and how it holds the historic and codes of your existence, you could bring through different expressions based on so many different aspects of who you are. When we use art as an expression of who we are or what our thoughts are or what we're moving through, we can bring that through not just as a piece of imagery. It's not just an image that comes through and something that we find a way to create, or something that we're able to get just that image out of our mind and onto some sort of other medium. It can come through as symbols. It can come through as a way that we move our body. It can come through as a way that we are able to make something physically with our hands. And it's not bracketed by one particular type or one particular area. And I believe that the art term is such a broad range now that gone are the days of that original perception of just being an artist who does create those paintings or those sculptures. You can be an artist if you are baking a cake. You can be an artist if you are landscaping a yard or designing a house. You can even be an artist if you make beautiful spreadsheets. There's a different level of that artistic archetype that we all hold, and I've brought it into this Maven journey because this is part of that. It's part of that expressive part that we are sharing with others, and the way that we express it is something that does not need to be tied down to one area or one creative outlet. The artist in us, I feel, is the most powerful archetype we can hold, because we are the ones who are not only just tapping into the thoughts within our conscious and our unconscious, but we are bringing it through in the way that we express it in that moment. And as we're constantly changing and we're constantly growing and we're constantly moving through things, the way that we create that art, the way that we express ourselves may change. We may find many different mediums that we can use to express how we're feeling in the moment. I know for myself that I cannot limit myself to one creative outlet. There is a whole plethora of ways that I am now tapping into the artist archetype, but in a way that it is bringing forward different pieces of my own psyche and the way that it is being expressed through my own experience. And that may not be the case for everyone. Some people may just have one medium and have one outlet, but we're not limited to that. We're not limited to that one type or that one idea or that one thought. But you will see that in others. You will look at some very famous people who are well known for their art, and you will see the way that they create certain things. There may be a certain tone or a certain theme, or the way that they use a particular style of creating the art, and that rings through the different pieces that they create. Whereas others may have a multitude of different ways that they express in so many different forms. Like I do. I can I can do a painting of, go from a tree to something that's just blobs of color, or I can create a digital symbol on my iPad, but then I can go and make something with my hands out of things I find in the art. There's nothing that you could look at all those things and you could see the commonality between them. There's no piece that is holding them all together to show that was who I am, because I myself, as a multidimensional, intergalactic, multifaceted person, I have different pieces of my awareness and my conscious and unconscious thoughts that I bring through in different moments in different ways. And that doesn't mean that either or either is wrong. It's just the different expressions of who we are. In that creative process itself of creating art, it is a type of therapy where it's the same as if you were moving through an emotion. So if there was a particular piece, just say, for easy's sake, let's just say we're creating a painting and there is something that you're moving through and you want to create this piece of art. So you start embarking on it. You either know what it looks like, or you know what the feeling is, or you know what the colors are going to be like, or the shapes, or whatever it is. You feel that, and you know the moment that it is done. You know the moment that it is finished. You know the moment that creation has completed its circle. But through the process of creating that painting, you are feeling the essence of those colors in that piece of art. You are knowing with every stroke and every piece of paint that is added to that canvas, you know that represents a piece of the story that you were creating, a piece of that emotion or that feeling or that thing that you were working through on that canvas. It's like working through a experience, but using art as the tool to help get to the other side of it. It's allowing it to be expressed without words, without putting it down on paper or speaking out into tones. It's instead using the codes of the colors and the ways that they form together, and how you use your hand to paint the artwork, how you have your own process in the way that you create that painting. It allows you to express it in the moment, that helps you move through it, that allows you to dive deep within yourself without having the words, without having the meaning behind it, without having an end goal, but just allowing it to come through and speak in the way that it wants to be spoken. And it is a way that it allows us to confront our fears and to reconcile any of those conflicting thoughts that we have within ourselves. And we spend a lot of our time thinking that we need to heal our thoughts in certain ways, but there's so many other ways that we can express and move through and see the evolution through a moment just by creating that art, just by creating that painting, just by allowing it to speak through without using our conscious brain to direct it or to guide it or to use the thoughts that are rolling around in our mind to give it meaning or understanding. Instead, we're just allowing the true creative expression to come through us. And that's one of the highlights of the artist. The artist, through its own creativity, will allow you to dive into things in a way where you get to step away from that, from the mind taking control, from your logic trying to find a way to make sense of something, or the way that we think that we need to process it in a way using our thoughts and doing it the way that we've always done or the way that we think we need to do it. Embodying the artist allows it to express it in ways that words don't make sense. And if you've ever looked at a piece of art, you can get 10 people lining up looking at a piece of art and they will all see it differently. They will feel things differently. They will believe it tells a different story. They will see different colors or maybe different shapes, or they will evoke different emotions when they're looking at it. And that comes back to those codes within us, those unique parts of our own self that we hold within us, that looking or feeling into other people's art will strike a different resonance with us. It'll match a different frequency on a different level. There will also be people who will look at artwork and go, oh, no, I don't like that at all. And I know for myself, some famous pieces of artwork, I know you can look at them and say, yeah, not for me. And that's not to take away from the complexity or the level of way that it has been created, and allowing us to know and understand that it's still a valuable piece of art. It doesn't mean that we have to attach to it, that we are somehow resonating on a vibrationary level to whatever that art is. We will match two different pieces of art. If you take yourself to an art gallery and look at the different paintings, I can guarantee there are some that you will love for no reason. There will be no thought in your mind of why you like this actual painting or image, whatever it is. And there will be ones that you will just not even want to look at because they don't have any pulling power towards you. That also doesn't mean that doesn't change. And it will be based on where you are in that moment and how your codes sit, how your energy sits, what's your vibration doing. You will match to the parts of you that match to the parts of that other person's expression. And it's not just with art, that's part of all our experiences, and it's part of our evolutionary growth towards our own self-mastery, as we spoke about with the mentor in last week's archetype. It's moving through that journey, through that deep awareness and understanding who we are, that allows the artist to come through. And the artist will stay with us. The artist will continue to express themselves in whatever way feels right for them in that moment. The artist can truly tap into so many different layers of our human psyche, and we will find and attach to different learnings and different ideas and different beliefs along that way. The artist will pull those pieces out of us because we are sitting in something and understanding something and knowing something that eventually we will move through that. We will bring that to the surface. We will express that in our own certain way, and then we will move on to something else. we want to evoke those different emotions within us. We want to challenge the societal norms that we are surrounded by. And the artist, even with the collective thought that they are rebellious in nature, the way that they give them that term and the way that they believe that that's who they are is because they are tapping into the individual and the truest thoughts of who they are. They want to provoke the collective to reflect internally on their own individuation and find ways within themselves where they can tap into their own codes. We are surrounded from the time we are born, and as we grow up, for most of us, we are told to do things in certain ways. We are surrounded by rules and regulations, and we don't have time to think for ourselves. As we embark on the artist archetype, it allows us to really look at those things and really to dissolve anything that isn't part of the truest part of who we are. And when we get to experience that, when we get to move through that, we are able to express it so that others can do the same thing. That others can see where we have come from when we were expressing that idea or that piece of art, where we have found an emotion or an idea or a piece of us that we have put out there for someone else to look at it and think, I can find that within me. I want to look at that more. I want to transcend through this thought or emotion or experience. I want to find that within myself. I cannot connect with that piece within myself. Artwork also can take us to the etherical realms of the unknown, the spiritual depth within our own existence, and question the normality or the humanness of everything around us. It will allow us to delve really deep into our unconscious, where we get to find the magic within us and see how we can allow that to be something that we can connect to on the outside of us. Because when we see that there is something bigger and something more than us, we have this new sense of meaning within ourselves, a new perception on the way that our life is and the way that it exists and the way that it is meant to be. Because that's our journey. If we are not delving into the depths within who we are, we don't get to experience any new thoughts or new ideas or wondrous big thoughts and ideas of the endless possibilities of creation and our existence. If we are just traveling along, we don't unlock that artist within us, we will be living a life full of boredom and monotony and just following the line of creating a world based on the collective societal norms that we believe that we have to follow. The artist really is the archetype for the creative forces within our unconscious mind. We really get a chance to individuate and transform ourselves both personally, culturally, and artistically. We can truly express things in a way that we may not even be able to make sense with. We can create things that resonate with collective and universal ideas, or we can create things that evoke emotional and psychological responses in others that they may have not seen before. And this is what allows all of us to grow. It's not just for us, it's for the people who are seeing the art that we create, seeing the work that we're doing, seeing the way that we are tapping into that expression of who we are. And we know that there is a level of imagination that we tap into when we are in that artistic space. When we are creating something, we are allowing forces that we don't know, or maybe we don't really understand, but we bring them to the surface. We bring those pieces of our own imagination. It's the same as someone who has written a book and they are creating the imagery with words that have basically just come from the imagination of their own mind. It's the way that we can see the depths and the space and the limitless of endless possibilities that, if we allow, can permeate within our mind. Our mind does not just have to be used for our logical thought and to process things. When we allow it to be quiet and we allow our bodies to feel into the resonance and the depths of who we are, we can feel into those coded pieces of who we are through imagination. We can create new worlds, we can create new ideas, we can bring new possibilities to life, we can bring new experiences to life, we can create things that people have never seen before, we can show others pieces of us that have never been brought to light. We can bring forward so many things that can help people in so many ways. And even though we can look at the surface and believe that when we are an artist that we are just someone who is creating a pretty painting, that's not what it is. There's such a depth to it that I really think it's one of the most important archetypes of who we are. The artist will stay with us. The artist will become more and more attuned to our life as we travel along our path. The ways that we express ourselves will change as we bring forward those different codes and allow those different pieces of us to surface. And when we find those people that connect with that, when we find those people that resonate with that piece of art that we've created, that expression of who we are in that moment, we can sometimes complete the cycle. Once we express what it is that we need to express, once we allow it into the existence around us, it may complete its cycle. It may have found its way to express itself into our existence, whatever that looks like for us. And then when we find a new layer or new codes or a new expression to bring through, there will be those different tones and those different ideas and different pieces of us that want to come through. If we are still sitting in a particular idea or emotion, we don't get to grow. And that doesn't mean we stay in the same place doing the same thing. We can still be doing the same thing, but there will always be a deepening or a greater understanding or a bigger awareness that comes through when we allow those expressional pieces of who we are to come to light. But when people connect to them, when someone else connects to them, there is this magic that happens. There is this piece of who we are that has been able to be expressed to others. It has connected to whoever needed to see it or feel it or understand it, and it has allowed them to then awaken that part of who they are and move on their journey and their own deepening and their own knowing and understanding. It's like a journey of mystic initiation. It's our own quest to unravel the enigmas of our own existence, and there's never an end to that. There's never a starting point and an end point. There are so many ideas and thoughts that we can tap into with our own mind and our own vibrational existence that it's a never-ending journey. We get to transcend through the collective thoughts and ideas of the limitations of our existence and start to open up to the knowing of our endless possibilities through the realms of the intangible and often sacred and expressionary in the way that they sort of come to light. There is a way where we can view the artist as someone who is surrendering to our existence. Our artistry becomes an offering. It's like an act of devotion, because we express that as an invitation for others to embark on their own mystical journey. We can make the ineffable become tangible, the invisible become visible. The mundane world that we hold on to around us is suddenly embraced with a divine spark of creativity. The artist holds one of the deepest connections to our human spirit, and the power that it holds in the way that it can evoke emotions or provoke thoughts. It can inspire change through so many different various art forms. And the drive behind that is not an end goal. It's not I need to do this in order to receive this. It's an innate desire to create. It's a desire to express themselves. It's a desire to find out more about who they are and what pieces of themselves can they tap into, what part of our existence can we express in each moment. And if you look at some of the artwork that has been created within our past, it has allowed its own roles to shape the culture and really reflect what was going on in those moments, what was happening, what was challenging, what was the essence of that paradigm. They allowed artists to create things that give us a opening or an opportunity to delve into our own thoughts, whether you go all the way back to drawings on the wall inside a cave or the Egyptians, or maybe just to the Renaissance period. There's different moments in time that are captured in ways where people have expressed themselves for us to sort of look at and hold on to and find where that resonates with us. How does that resonate within us? What is the way that I feel about that? How can I bring that in? How do I react to that? It allows us to see their joys and struggles and whatever was going on in those moments, and we're still doing it. You listen to the words of a song, you feel or embody the emotion of a orchestra, or see someone speaking a poem. You can feel the essence of that moment. You can see or embrace the experience that we are feeling in that moment. And if we didn't have this archetype, if we didn't have this type of creativity flowing through, we would not be able to to challenge the thoughts that we already hold. We would not be able to move from where we are at if we don't see the artist archetypes creating things in the way that they're creating. It's part of our societal journey towards evolution is allowing artists to allow their creativity to come through. That's where new ideas are sparked. It's where new pieces of technology or ideas or thoughts or expressions come through in a way for us to move forward as a collective, to move forward as this existence that we are right now, and to constantly change and to constantly attach and grow and expand and learn. It gives us a chance to really push ourselves through something, whether it's an emotion or a piece of expression that we are embarking on in that moment. It allows us to journey through it on so many levels and layers. It's not just us doing a drawing, it's us emitting codes, we're evoking emotion, we're moving through something. There's so many more layers and depths to it. But we're truly allowing the truest essence of who we are as that artistic creator to shine through. The artist archetype truly embodies the unwavering spirit of artistic exploration, and it's our eternal source of inspiration. Because when you uncover the artist within yourself, you get to create meaningful contributions to a whole evolutionary existence. And once you open the door to that creativity and that creator within, there is literally nothing more that you need to do. You just need to allow that artist, the creator, the creativity, that inspiration within you to speak in whatever way it wants to come forward. Allow it to bring through those feelings, those emotions, those experiences that you want to share, the codes that you want to bring to light, those pieces of who you are that you want to bring to the surface. So I invite you to close your eyes for a moment and just sit with your artist within. Sit with that creative being who permeates through every cell within your body. The way that the colors of that creative power within your body are shimmering and moving their way towards the surface of your existence and wanting to be expressed in a way that feels good to you and feels like a piece of you being shared with the world. Allow the artist to speak to you and see what you can create today.